Do you really need another program for working with LAS files? You might be surprised by the answer to this question. The log ASCII Standard, or LAS, file format has been a successful file format for many years, used by people in the energy industry to exchange data. A big part of its appeal is it is, as the name denotes, a plain text format, and thus human readable. Since that is the case, you can, theoretically, open an LAS file in any standard text editor and work with it, but you probably don't do that very often. I've got a folder of LAS files that I've downloaded from a public source, and I've loaded one of them into my favorite text editor, as you can see here. Beyond being able to read the contents of the file, I can't do too much with it. I can edit it, of course, but it's a lot of trouble to preserve formatting while I edit. Notice here that the colons don't all line up. At one point they might have lined up, but perhaps someone has edited the file along the way and now they no longer line up. As I'm making edits, it will take some extra work on my part to keep everything nicely formatted. But that's not all. I don't even know if what I'm viewing and editing is even a valid LAS file. I can't visualize the data, export it, or perform any significant operation on it. Being able to edit the text directly is nice, but clearly insufficient for meaningfully working with an LAS file. So, if you work with LAS files every day, you likely have one or more programs that you rely on to import and export LAS files, and these programs are not at all like text editors. A plain text editor just isn't likely to be an important part of your workflow. But what if you had an editor that knew about LAS files? This might be a game changer, as it could serve as an upstream tool, so to speak, that lets you work directly with LAS files prior to passing them on to other tools and other people. Or the editor might even replace those tools, at least for certain functions. What would we be looking for in such an editor? Well, first of course we'd want to be able to edit a file. And that we have today with any standard text editor. And we'd also like to be able to search in the file. And that function we also have in text editors. But beyond that, what else could we have? Well, it would be really nice if we could colorize the text. If we could colorize the various parts of an LAS file differently, it'd be much easier to visually pick out what's what. Section headers might be in one color, commented lines might be in another color, mnemonics, data, description, all these different elements of an LAS file could be in different colors. That might be easy on the eyes and make the file much more readable. We can navigate in a standard text editor, obviously, by paging up and down or jumping to a line, but we have an LAS file. It'd be nice if we could jump to a depth or hop around by sections. We'd really like to get control of a formatting problem. In fact, if we can just press one key and format an entire file to get it exactly like we want it, that would be really cool. And we need to validate. Is the LAS file a legal LAS file or not? We'd like to know before we give it to somebody else or bring it to another tool. If we can validate it, then perhaps we can repair it, or at least repair some things. Then there's a matter of the data. It would be nice to be able to visualize it. We could maybe load it in a grid. That would be easier to browse than the text editor part of it. Or if we could plot it, even if they were just very simple plots, just enough that we could quickly get an idea of what is the nature of the data in this file. Of course, with all that, we're still going to need to be able to get the data out and to other tools, so we'll need to be able to export it, and if we've got good support for that, and especially good support for getting into Excel, that wouldn't hurt. Finally, since we're editing this LAS file and we can do these other things, maybe a few more basic operations, because in some cases what we need to do with the LAS file we might be able to just accomplish in the editor and be done with it. But that's not all. Remember that I just showed one file in an editor. Here's the folder that contains that file. There are 356 files in here, but we don't know anything about any of them unless we go and open them up. It would be nice to get some extra help when dealing with multiple LAS files, so maybe we can do that.